life insurers put life into the things you live for. The new factory that's hiring your neighbors. Maintenance on the bridge that keeps traffic flowing. The paycheck that puts pizza night on the table. Life insurers contribute $8 trillion to communities and local economies through bond purchases and other investments, and protect the financial security of 90 million American families, like yours. See how life insurers put life into America at acli.com. Paid for by the American Council of Life Insurers.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Welcome back, folks. This is the More Money Show on a Saturday afternoon. Such a privilege to be with you. And now one of my best friends in all of Congress, Kevin Cramer, the senator from the great state of North Dakota. Senator, is this you're in the middle of your second term?
I am. I just started my second term. So in the Senate. I was in the House for 6 years prior to the Senate.
Yeah. So he has been one of the mainstays of the conservative movement in the Senate. And, I always say that, 4 or 5 of my favorite senators are Senator Cramer. I love Senator Rand Paul. I love Senator Ron Johnson. I like Mike Lee. I just wish there were more fiscal conservatives in the Senate, as I'm sure you do. I want to start with a civics question that I get asked all the time. And my friends in California ask this. So I hate to put you on the spot here, Senator, but you're from the great state of North Dakota. And tell our audience, why are there 2 Dakotas as states?
Yeah, great question. Well, that's a good question. It's a big plot of land. Each of them is a pretty big plot of land, but neither one of them together even add up to Alaska or Montana, our neighbor to the west. I just think they I don't know. I actually don't know why they did.
Okay, we're going to look that up. Next time I have you on, you're going to have an answer to that question. Because my friends in California, where there's 40 million people, they say, why do we get only 2 senators in North Dakota with what do you have, less than 1 million?
That's a different. And to the people of California, I'd say you're welcome. Because thank God there are 2 Dakotas and half.
There you go. There you go. Can we have a Northwest Dakota?
Yeah.
Then we'd really have a conservative. So the people of North Dakota are conservative, aren't they?
They are. They're very conservative. Although I will tell you, Steve, populism, has been alive and well in North Dakota long before Donald Trump. I mean, Theodore Roosevelt's presidential libraries being built here, and of course he was a populist. And we have a state-owned bank, State Bank of North Dakota, that's literally owned by the state. We have a state mill and elevator. We early in our foundation as a state, we were fighting against the big corporations, the big ag corporations in Minneapolis and the big banks in Minneapolis. So we have a major sort of populism streak, but we are fiscally, naturally conservative, and we are certainly socially conservative.
Salt of the earth people. So as you know, this is our flagship station is WABC in New York. So we have people throughout the New York metropolitan area, many of whom I would bet, Senator, have never been to North Dakota. So sure. I've been there many times, a couple times with you, and yes. Tell us, so you're basically you've traditionally been an agricultural state, but you've turned into an energy powerhouse.
We have. So with the Bakken, and really, there's always been oil here. We've had oil for a long time. Hess, for example, has been producing oil in North Dakota for over 50 years. But with the advent of hydraulic fracturing and horizontal drilling, Harold Hamm cracked that code and unleashed tons of light, sweet crude oil and millions of barrels, really billions of barrels. And so we've been the number 2 or number 3 producer in the country only behind Texas for a number of years.
Amazing.
And it is amazing.
You're not ahead of Oklahoma, are you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we blew by Oklahoma. Wow. We even blew by Alaska and California, yeah. So, we are the only state other than California or than Texas now that produces a little more than we do is New Mexico, and that has really a lot to do with unleashing federal lands, and that was Donald Trump, freeing up more federal lands in his first term. So we contribute mightily to the economy of the country, and which is why by the way, the founders created the United States Senate was so that every state with a lot of resources, but not a lot of people, had some equal power in at least one of the two chambers, and that's why we have a Senate.
That's a great explanation for it. The founders were geniuses, weren't they? So
Yes, they were.
You used the word hydraulic fracturing, and I bet a lot of our listeners on the East Coast are, fracking, it's a terrible thing. Oh, no, my gosh, it's going to cause the end of the world, and we're going to have earthquakes, and we're going to have pollution, and all of these things. So, will you disabuse the listeners of this show to that idea that fracking is a bad thing? I think it's one of the great innovations of all time.
Well, it definitely is, because we were dealing with peak oil prior to this, and now instead of being dependent on Saudi Arabia or Russia or African nations or Venezuela, we're now not just independent, but we can export as well and do. And that was one of the things we did even in the Obama administration, was to free up the ability to export oil, and that's been a game changer, because now the United States is the price maker, not the price taker in all things oil and gas, and so. And not to mention what it's done for us, Steve, in the areas of national security. I mean, it's being energy secure is as good as being nationally secure.
It's a no-brainer, and you're so right. And I've been so impressed when I've been to. What's the town? Williston? What's the town where they? So
this references the Williston Basin, the traditional basin, and Williston is sort of the heartbeat of the Bakken. No question about it. Yeah.
And so. You also have a lot of other resources. You have some of the best farmland in the world in North Dakota, and you have minerals, right? Coal and other minerals.
Well, we do. We have coal and produce a lot of coal for electricity, cheap, and it's getting cleaner all the time and abundant, but also to minerals. So it's funny you bring that up today, because just earlier this week, we were out we being Senator John Hoeven, Governor Kelly Armstrong, and Congresswoman Julie Fedorchak. We only have one, as you know. And we were all.
You have more senators than congressmen.
We have, I used to always say, I don't know why it takes two senators to do one person's job, but anyway, it takes 36 at least or so in Texas. But that said, we've just witnessed the signing of a deal between a now retired coal mine called Westmoreland Coal. They've used up all the coal, and they're reclaiming all the land. And their facility, they signed an agreement with a company called Talon Metals. They mine the taconite, which is made largely of nickel and copper in Minnesota, and they're going to process that into, obviously a finished product, but also extract the critical minerals, because as you can imagine, there's a lot of critical minerals even in the coal, and in the now burned coal, the coal ash, as they call it, or residuals, has a lot of those minerals, and so they're going to be extracting some of those critical minerals right here in North Dakota.
That's awesome. We've done a study at Unleashed Prosperity. That's the group, as you know, Senator, that Art Laffer and Steve Forbes and I started with Larry Kudlow many years ago. But we have a new study by one of the top geologists in the country who estimates are you ready for this? Are you sitting down, Senator? $12 trillion. $12 trillion of mineral resources in this country that we've not been able to go after, mostly because of environmentalists. But that's a huge treasure chest. And think of all the federal money that we could bring in terms of tax dollars if we were to go after this stuff.
Well, particularly, and add to that, if some of it's on federal land, and I know some of it is under federal land, if you allow that mining, those are our assets. Those are the taxpayers' assets. We should be getting the tax benefit from that and the revenue benefits from that. And with modern technologies, Steve, you create a lot of great jobs, obviously, and a lot of wealth, and that creates a lot of tax revenue. But you also have, with modern technologies, ways to do it much cleaner. And I guarantee you, if we do that, we will produce those critical minerals in a much more environmentally friendly way than anybody else we're buying them from today.
I agree.
And we won't even use slave labor.
So we only have about 3 minutes left, Senator, so I appreciate so much you coming on. This is Senator Cramer of the great state of North Dakota. I want your take on the big beautiful, and
sure.
we turn to the Senate. I guess when you guys you get back in town on Tuesday? Is that when you come back?
Monday. We'll be in Monday.
Monday. Okay. So now we go down to the home stretch. I would love it if Donald Trump had a bill on his desk to sign on the 4th of July. I would love that. But I know you're one of the strong conservatives who wants more cuts, and I want to see more cuts. But we got to get this thing done. Is there a path to victory here?
Life insurers put life into the things you live for. The new factory that's hiring your neighbors. Maintenance on the bridge that keeps traffic flowing. The paycheck that puts pizza night on the table. Life insurers contribute $8 trillion to communities and local economies through bond purchases and other investments, and protect the financial security of 90 million American families, like yours. See how life insurers put life into America at acli.com. Paid for by the American Council of Life Insurers.
This National Foster Care Month, Marine Toys for Tots is providing hope to children who need it most. Staff Sergeant James Caldwell, who grew up in foster care himself, shares that while handing out gifts at a Toys for Tots distribution event, a little girl looked up at him, reached into her bag, pulled out a stuffed animal and said, "Someone needs to make sure you get a toy too." That simple gesture embodies the heart of Marine Toys for Tots, ensuring every child, including those in foster care, experiences the kindness that can transform their future. Visit toysfortots.org today.
This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/Spotify.
At Capella University, you can learn at your own pace with our FlexPath learning format. Take 1 or 2 courses at a time and complete as many as you can in a 12-week billing session. With FlexPath, you can finish the bachelor's degree you started in 19 months and under $19,000. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu. Fastest 25% of students. Cost varies by PACE, transfer credits, and other factors. Fees apply.
I believe there is, Steve. First thing I think what we have to do is as conservatives, pro-growth conservatives, is understand that however they score this bill, they being the Congressional Budget Office or others that score it, don't adequately recognize the growth potential with a tax policy like this, right? They always underscore it. We have to, as conservatives, trust it. We're free marketers. We get that. There's that. On the other front, I do think we can find some more savings, but we also need to make sure Mike Johnson always has at least a 1-vote margin to pass the bill out of the House. So that balancing act is what we're all about. I think that Ron Johnson and Rick Scott are right. I think they should scream from the rafters and get as many get as many conservative principles as possible. But at the end of the day, when it's a binary choice, the only 2 numbers that matter are 50 and 218. That's the number of people in the House and Senate.
That's right. So you have is it 53 Republicans in the Senate?
It is.
53. Okay, so we've got my friend Rand Paul, I'm going to put him down as a no. So that gives you 52.
Undecided, but you never know.
Yeah,
that's right.
And so you feel good that we can get 50. But by the way, just to explain to our listeners, if you get to 50, then the Vice President J.D. Vance would cast the tie-breaking vote. So you only need 50, not 51. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That is right. And it's going to always be hard, just like it was in the House. It looked in the House like the whole thing was going to collapse, and then of course you come up on the midnight hour, and suddenly you have one more vote than you thought, because that's just in human nature. Is that you go to the deadline fighting for everything you can get. It's like a football team; they don't stop playing, in the third quarter. So. You're going to see that happening, and it should happen. But I do believe at the end of the day, conservatives of all types, when you look at a binary decision between passing it or not passing it's always going to be better from the conservative perspective.
Yeah, I agree with. Of course, you're right. We have to get this done. So I need you to do me a favor, Senator. We would at our group, and we're running the whole coalition of all the outside groups to try to help you get this thing through. One of the disappointments we like the House bill. I thought the Speaker did a wonderful job of getting that through the House, but we would love to see this 15% corporate rate. That would bring us below Europe and a lot of our other competitive countries. Do you think there's a chance we could get something like that?
I think it's going to be really, really tough.
No, you're supposed
I know.
to say yes.
I'm for you. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. But here's what I was going to say. We shouldn't stop at the end of this bill. Even with the big, beautiful bill, we still have 2 more reconciliation opportunities in this very Congress. And I think we have to go back at it. I think get it done. We need a victory. It's going to impact the economy quicker. The quicker we get it done, it's going to incentivize investment and all of those things that you know so much about. But that doesn't mean we have to stop talking about it.
So I've got an idea for you, and I'm going to run this by you with the last question of the day. So how about we get together and we do this? We open up a lot of these federal lands in states like North Dakota for drilling and mining, and then we have the tax dollars that come in from that, the royalty fees, the leasing fees. Mm-hmm. I think you could probably raise hundreds of billions of dollars from that, and not just in North Dakota, but around the country, especially in those Western states, and we use that money to pay for the 15% corporate rate. What do you think about that?
I think that's fine, but I think you'll have more than that, and we should pay down the debt on some of it with some of it.
There you go. Okay, well, Senator Cramer, thank you so much for joining us. That's Kevin Cramer from North Dakota, one of the staunch fiscal conservatives. We don't have enough of them in the Senate. This is the More Money Show, and we'll be right back.
Life insurers put life into the things you live for. The new factory that's hiring your neighbors. Maintenance on the bridge that keeps traffic flowing. The paycheck that puts pizza night on the table. Life insurers contribute $8 trillion to communities and local economies through bond purchases and other investments, and protect the financial security of 90 million American families, like yours. See how life insurers put life into America at acli.com. Paid for by the American Council of Life Insurers.